Thank you, Chris, for joining us and allowing us on this very exciting opportunity to interview you guys about this disruptive and innovative technology that really does fit so many wickets of the issues we're facing today in farming, water, and sustainability. So I'm here with you. You're the public relations officer. I'm excited. This is going to be a 4-part interview for everybody that's listening. We're going to have the technical side, Chris with the public relations. We're going to have Joaquim, who's from Chile. We're also going to produce it in Spanish, so both sides, everybody can hear about this exciting technology. And we're very excited to be here just because once I saw what you're doing, I'm like, we have to do this interview.
Absolutely.
And so kind of tell me about FarmBox Foods.
Yeah, so we design, build, and sell automated farms inside upcycled shipping containers. These things can go to any climate in the entire world, so that means you can grow food in a lot of places that currently can't grow food, or they have really short growing seasons. Our grand plan is to get into food deserts and just make sure people have a reliable source of fresh food.
So for the audience, most people know what food deserts mean, but help define it for me.
Yeah, a food desert, it doesn't really denote that there's not food there. It's that there's not nutrient-rich food there. So there are several communities where they just have trouble getting access to farm fresh food. Low-income urban areas are a big one. But then there's also certain climates throughout the world where they don't have any arable land, or the weather doesn't enable them to grow, and this enables you to grow year-round because these are controlled climate containers.
Wow, it is very exciting. This podcast and interview we're inside the shipping container. So if you want to see the visuals on it, we'll of course place pictures, but also look at the YouTube side. It's very excited. I have all these plants behind me. It's just like I'm getting hungry just here. And I'm not a green leafy guy, but here I am. But tell me, what is the vision? What's the mission behind FarmBox Foods?
The mission really is, like I said, getting into food deserts and making sure people have that access to reliable food. There's just so many different industries and so many different applications that we're currently just scratching the surface. But really the mission is to make sure that people have access to food, especially nutrient-rich food. There's so many communities out there that their only option may be to grab food at a 7-Eleven, and there's just not really a lot of options in there that have that the nutrition that people really need. So just getting these into communities throughout the world. In 2021, we landed in Jamaica, Tahiti, 2 places in Canada, and several places throughout the U.S. So really just kind of extending our reach and kind of continuing that mission of feeding people.
How old's the company?
We're 4 years old. We spent the first 2 to 3 years doing research and development, and this last year we've really kind of taken off and started shipping containers out throughout the world.
Yeah, that's got to be very exciting. So let's start with the history. You're only 3 or 4 years old. Now you're starting to get the word out there. What's the genesis of this idea?
So it started, our founders originally had the idea of doing tiny homes inside shipping containers, and I think pretty quickly they found out, there's a lot of people already doing that in that space, and there's a lot of competition. There was just a lot of, permitting things to get through and regulations to deal with that they switched gears pretty quickly, and we found out that there was something similar. Our competitor has a container within the community, and we had a chance to see that and realized that there were just a lot of inefficiencies, and that we could really design one better to produce more vegetables, lower energy use, lower water usage. These things are very eco-friendly. So the genesis really was kind of pivoting based on what was needed, and these things are definitely needed. The pandemic just made food insecurity that much worse. The supply chain broke down, and those people are much worse off than they were. So really kind of getting our arms around that and figuring out where's the best place to put these and where to aim our efforts.
So let's break down several issues. One of them is sustainability. I want to go with sustainability, then I want to talk about how it solves that issue.
Yeah.
How it solves some water issues. Third is how it solves some supply chain issues. Mm-hmm. And how it solves some nutrition issues. So if you can help me remember all 4 of those.
I'll do my best. Sustainability, I think, was the first.
Yes. Let's go down that path.
Yeah, one of them. One of the big benefits is the water usage. So in the vertical hydroponic farm that we're currently sitting in, this only requires 3 to 5 gallons of water per day, which is about 98% less than traditional farming. So
Using the same amount of, growing the same amount of crops.
yeah, so our vertical hydroponic farm generates an average of 2.5 acres worth of farmland every year. So that kind of gives you a visual on what we're able to do. We're able to grow 9,000 plants at a time, using only 3 to 5 gallons of water per day. So with drought conditions and just general climate changes, these things are going to be more important than ever.
So when you talk about the yield, now do you have to grow the same product in every container?
No, you don't. You can actually grow lettuce alongside of culinary herbs like basil and cilantro. You can also grow grape tomatoes and peppers, so jalapenos, ghost peppers. And about 3 or 4 months ago, we started experimenting with trees, and we figured out that blue spruces and ponderosa pines grow especially well in these vertical hydroponic farms. They start out in the seed table, and we put them in our movable grow walls, and they take off from there. So I think there's a lot of implications for forest remediation, which is going to be big going forward, especially with all the wildfires out west. There's a real need to kind of reforest those areas, and we feel like we can have a big impact.
Absolutely. I just hiked yesterday Bear Peak, and one of the sides was completely devastated with some of the fires.
Exactly, yeah, and the pine beetles, and there's been a lot of devastation. We think that there's a lot of room for us to kind of fit into overall plans for forest remediation.
Oh, nice. Very good. So now, next time, how does it solve the nutrition side? We talked about that. We kind of hinted at it, but I just want a little more in depth why this solves some nutrition issues. You talked about food deserts earlier.
Yeah, well, the big benefit of these is you're able to grow food right near the consumer. So that cuts out the entire supply chain, which is a huge issue right now. It cuts out the need to transport goods over long distances, which means the veggies that are grown in these units retain their entire shelf life, and they retain their entire nutritional value. Generally, when you're shipping something across the country, it spends about 3, 4, 5 days on a truck or in a distribution center, and that means by the time it gets to your plate, it's lost about half of its nutritional value. So this is a way of growing food right near the consumer and getting it to them, either the day it was harvested or the day after.
Okay, let's decide. There's a high wind warning today. We're out, not too bad. So one of the issues potentially is electrical issues, or let's just say something catastrophically goes wrong, like during a earthquake or some parts of the U.S. How do you get around that if there's no electricity? And looking at it, it looks like it's powered by electricity. Is it solar power capable?
It is solar capable. You can also run them off of a generator, and we've actually realized recently that you can run these off of excess flare gas. So for those that are in the oil and gas community, you can use the excess flare gas to operate one of these. So generally speaking, I think a generator would probably be the best option if the power goes out. But yeah, solar is definitely a possibility, and we outfit these with the idea that if people want to equip them with solar later on, they can do so.
So that's another sustainable side that I just didn't think of.
Exactly.
What does the future hold for you guys? What do you got? What's the long-term outlook? I'm also going to ask the other guys this too, but I want to hear it from each person within the company. What do you see?
Well, the future is wide open. I mean, like I said, there's just so many applications for these and so many different industries that we feel like we can have an impact in. The sky is really the limit. We are partnered up with hospital groups, grocery stores, restaurants. There's so many philanthropic benefits to these as well. Dropping them in an area that's doesn't have access to farm fresh food just makes a huge difference. When people aren't able, when people don't have access to food and they're hungry, there's so much other things that kind of go by the wayside, and they're not able to live their best life. So we feel like food security is the first step in making a community sustainable.
That's very, very good. I love the vision here, mission. That's why I was so excited when you first called me the other day. And here, 48 hours here, once again, we're here. Yeah. Let's talk about, is it a lot of maintenance involved in upkeeping one of these? Let's just say you have a community. They come together. You mentioned offline prior to this, you mentioned that a group of people or businesses can come together. Talk about that part.
Yeah, so in terms of labor and cleaning these, that's one of the things we pride ourselves on is for the vertical hydroponic farm, it only takes about 15 to 20 hours of labor per week to run one of these, and that's including seeding, transplanting, harvesting, maintenance, all that good stuff. 15 to 20 hours, which is a huge benefit.
Do you train, so let's just say a community purchases, do you show the community how to operate these things?
Yeah, so we do provide training and operational support. We have a really good deployment team. So, I'm sorry, what was your original question?
Just when the community, let's just say they purchase one, you send them out to train them? How would they know how to operate one of these? Because I mean, this looks like some sophisticated technology. So that's what I'm asking. How would the community know how to do this?
Yeah, so we do provide that training, kind of that baseline knowledge of, and it depends on what you're growing, but if you kind of give us an idea of what you want to grow, we can help you set the parameters within the container to be exactly perfect. And these are automated container farms, so that means you can control the lighting, the watering schedule, the nutrient concentration, the pH levels of the water, all from basically a glorified iPad on the wall. So it makes it very user-friendly. That doesn't mean that robots can, operate one of these farms. It does require the human touch and getting eyes on it to kind of monitor the plants, but it is very user-friendly. Once people get it down, it's pretty easy, and these things are really able to crank them out.
So you don't have to have a degree in the technology or the background in farming or anything like that?
Not at all. I mean, it does help to have a general knowledge base of plants and how plants operate, but generally speaking, I mean, if you're coming into this without any prior experience, I would say you can learn everything within probably a week or two and really hit the ground running.
Oh, nice. I mean, it's very, very exciting. I'm just amazed at what I'm looking at behind us, what we're seeing, the vision you guys have for the future. What does the future hold for you guys? I kind of asked that question earlier, but what's your next step? What's the first step, and then the second, as far as you guys can tell?
Well, just continuing to grow and continuing to find out what sort of applications there are for these things. Like I said, there's just so many things that we haven't thought about yet that we feel like we can have a big impact. Education is a big thing for us. So building out a curriculum that people can kind of insert into, say, a STEM school, to where we're building a curriculum that teaches the kids how to do more with less. Resources are getting fewer and fewer. And we're at a point in time right now where the science and tech, you're able to marry that and do more with less. So, and what we found is the kids really get it. When you have that technology component in there, the kids really grab onto it. And when you tell them that you can help feed people with this technology, I think it really gets the wheels turning. So it's really turning on that next generation of farmers, especially the indoor ag industry, which is going to be huge going forward. It's really equipping them with the knowledge that they can do more with less.
Yeah, this we always talk about people, purpose, planning, passion, and then technology.
Yeah.
And this fits all those criteria for, especially with the technology part, where you can feed the family, you're passionate about what you're doing, you have a plan, you have a purpose,
yeah,
and you have the right team around you.
Exactly.
So what's your favorite part about working here?
Oh gosh, just being around the plants is just a generally therapeutic thing, and I get to talk about something that I genuinely love. Even though we're a for-profit company, we do have a mission to feed the world one container at a time, and that doesn't get lost in the decision-making process. People don't get lost in the decision-making process, and we pride ourselves on our ability to do that. We're not a public company. We only have 4 or 5 investors, which means that we're kind of able to dictate our path and grow as quickly or as slowly as we want to, and kind of figure out our own path and where we fit in best.
So we're out here in Sedalia. Tell us where you're located, where you're manufacturing.
Yeah, so out here in Sedalia, we have 3 operating farms, 2 vertical hydroponic farms and a gourmet mushroom farm. We also have offices in the Denver Tech Center. And then we have a manufacturing plant, a 140,000-foot manufacturing plant. Our partner is RK Mission Critical, and they manufacture these for us and ship them out from there. So, we've got 3 locations, but here at the farm, this is where all the magic happens.
Yeah, it is. It's so cool. And I'm just very excited to learn more, because I'd love to tell the restaurant community about this.
Absolutely.
And we just, the Hispanic Restaurant Association, our Hispanic Chefs Association, everything we do. I mean, it really does solve a lot of problems. I was in part of my military career was in submarines, so we're sitting inside here. I'm like, oh, it's like I'm old home week here, except for the growing of the food.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but that's fantastic. What's the hardest part about working here?
Oh gosh, I don't know if there is a hardest part. I would say maybe the biggest challenge that we face is not being able to build these things fast enough. There's that much demand out there across multiple industries, and word has gotten out about us. We're getting, a lot of calls and a lot of emails per week from people that are asking about how we can help them and can they come check them out, and we're certainly open to that. We do free tours Wednesdays through Fridays. So if there's a restaurant group out there that wants to come down and check out what we're doing, there actually is a restaurant group in the Denver area that specializes in farm to table. And they've purchased one of these vertical hydroponic farms, and they're putting it behind one of the restaurants, and it's going to grow leafy greens and culinary herbs for, I believe, 6 or 7 different locations, farm-to-table locations. So there really is a tremendous opportunity for restaurants, for grocery stores, like I said, hospital groups, and just private business in general.
I can certainly see that. So I can see a restaurant group like, solve the supply chain issues, all those things we talked about earlier. It is pretty amazing. I'm very excited. I mean, I'll tell the world about it, obviously via the Colorado Food Magazine, via the Hispanic Restaurant Association, and our Chefs Association, because I'd love to bring quite a few of those guys out here just to see.
Absolutely, yeah.
And bring everybody into this literally is 21st century.
Yeah, a lot of people walk into the vertical hydroponic farm and they compare it to walking into a spaceship. It's, really pretty lights and...
that was the visual that came to mind prior to you saying that. So
yeah, with our grow lights in here, it just makes everything really pop and look gorgeous. So
how do say somebody, what's the lead time? Let's just say I'm a restaurant group, or I'm an investor or a community developer, and I want one of these. How long does it take?
Right now, it's about 180 days from purchase order to delivery, and we like to pride ourselves on improving upon that and doing it in less time. But generally 180 days, especially with the sourcing of materials and the shipping issues. We haven't run into as many of those as some other people have. Our CEO actually has a 30-year background in the shipping and logistics industry, which helps us tremendously, because that means we're not having as much issue sourcing these upcycled shipping containers as maybe other people are. But generally, 6 months or so is a good lead time.
Define the term upcycled shipping container.
Upcycled means that we're basically finding a new purpose for these shipping containers that have been in circulation for a good, sometimes 30, 40 years. They've lived their life, as far as their original intended use. They might have a few nicks and dings in them, but nothing that really affects their ability to insulate from the outside world. That's, I think, one of the biggest benefits. I mentioned growing year-round, but it cuts out all of those X factors. So everything from freeze to droughts to pests. This being a controlled climate enclosed container means that we don't have any bugs in here, which means we don't need to use pesticides. So that's one of the kind of the eco-friendly elements of what we do here.
So they're considered organic, everything here?
I
know that's a term that you have to buy.
It's essentially, you have to kind of meet certain criteria. So we're pretty much organic, but we don't strive to meet any certain certification. There are customers of ours that do have certain criteria that they need to meet. Natural Grocers is one of our partners, and their idea is to put one of these behind every single one of their stores and grow the lettuce kind of 80 steps away from the display case. But we think that there's just a tremendous opportunity.
I can certainly see why.
Yeah.
So if somebody, it's 180 days, where do they go online to find you?
People can go to FarmBoxFoods.com. They can also reach out to us via social media. We can send any information that people would like. We also just launched a YouTube channel back in, I think, May. So we have a few videos that kind of give people that visual element of what we're doing. But generally the website, I think, is the best place to go, FarmBoxFoods.com.
Oh, great. So, okay, we're going to move on to the second part of the interview and interview the technical side. You've kind of given us the big picture. I thank you for that. What do you have for us? Anything you want to say?
No, I just want to thank you guys for coming out. We help people kind of amplifying our message and getting our name in front of the right people, because we really feel like we can make a difference, whether you're a private business or a nonprofit or whatever it might be. I think we can fit in, and just give us a call and see if we're a good fit.
Yeah, I can certainly see it. Like, there's a lot of food halls where there's so many restaurants in one building. I can really see this fitting in that type of environment.
Absolutely,
so.
yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on. We're going to talk to a couple others. I'm just so excited. This is going to be a little longer episode with the 4 different people. I really appreciate you giving us a call.
Yeah, thanks so much, John. Appreciate it.
Thank you.